Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Howard, and it's time to get stress-free. Welcome to the Stress-Free Educator Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about parents versus educators. This is one of the stress factors, right? The battle between the two. So let's jump right into it. What's the setup? Let me set the situation up. You're working after hours, doing report cards, lesson plans, planning. Some educators go above and beyond to buy things for their students that they realize that their parents cannot afford to buy. That's above the call of duty because they care so much about the child that they treat them as if they were their own, right? So we're working long hours. We're doing all these lesson plans. We're making sure they're safe. Nowadays, as an educator, you got to know the code red and all this stuff is not just about teaching anymore. I have to keep your child safe. I'm responsible for so many things. People will sue us in a heartbeat for every little mistake that we make, even though, it's warranted in certain situations, but not warranted in others. But that's another episode. Right. So we're spending all this time, all this energy, neglecting our own families, neglecting our own needs, putting our own personal activities to the side to be there for this child, only to realize the parent is not involved or vested at all. Then when you become overworked, this type of stress is called work role overload, because you're supposed to just be the teacher. You're just supposed to come in, teach the state standards or whatever standards you're required to teach and go home, grade the papers, report card. There's a list of things on your contract that you're responsible for, right? But now, doing all of that, you have low pay, but that's another episode. You're not getting paid enough, all these things. But if you could just have the child learn, sometimes we tend to say it's worth it, because when the child becomes successful, it warms our hearts, right? But then you look and the parent is not doing a thing. It's like, well, why am I doing it? I didn't give birth to them. Why? After all that I'm doing, all I want you to do is show up for 2 parent conferences for the year. So at least my job is not on the line because I have not met with the parent. All I want for you to do is send back the report card signed. All I want, just a few things. It's really not that deep. Okay, we just need a few things. We need documents to come back. We just need some basic things, and you are not involved at all. We are not talking about the parents that cannot be involved. You have parents that are sickly, parents that are in situations. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about you are well and able to sign a report card, sign an interim. You're adding more stress to me because I have to hunt you down 15 times to get a signature. All I'm trying to do is make sure your child's file is situated so at the end of the year, I can slap it in the queue and keep moving. But I can't get documents from you. Now I have to call you over and over, begging you to come to a conference. They would say, you could do the conference over the phone. We need to be in front of you. Talk to me over the phone and I can write phone conference. We can't get any involvement with you at all, and you are well and able. Some parents don't work. If you don't work and you're still well and able, meaning nothing is wrong with you, you should at least be making sure homework is done and being involved in the school. I personally think certain government aids should not be given unless the parent can prove that they're involved in their child's education. But that's another story. It's another episode. Because it's like you're just sitting at home, dropping them off. You don't pick them up early. You still pick them up at 6 o'clock and register them for aftercare. So from before care at 7 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m., they're not with you, right? You have all of that. By the time they come home, you just basically feed them and you're telling them to go to bed, especially if they're young. That's it. And I'm, it's okay. Yeah, you need a break, but you need to be somewhat involved in their education. You can't just drop them off to school. The famous saying says, a child that's only educated at school is still an uneducated child. If school is the only place that they're learning, they're really not educated. You gave birth to them. There's certain things that I can't teach it. You have to teach them that. If you live in a certain household that believes in a certain religion, I can't teach them that religion. I don't believe in that. You have to teach that. Those values, how you want them to be in life, that comes from you and your vision. God gave you your child's purpose. He didn't give your child's purpose to me. I'm just your partner in crime. I'm just supposed to back you up because you don't know how to teach biology level 2. You don't know how to teach calculus. So here it is, I'm coming in to teach those higher level concepts that you can't handle. But I'm pretty sure you can teach your child their name. And if you can't teach them their name, stop giving them these long names. How about you just name them John? 4 letters. You're naming them these long names. And they come to school and can't recognize their cubby with the name on it. You didn't even teach them how to spell it. Or there's so many letters in the name. Baby girl, why is your name so long? And then the parent didn't even teach them how to read it. Okay. Can your child come, if the child is not colorblind or cognitively disabled, can they come to school knowing their letter names and sounds? All you have to do is put on a show on PBS Kids. It's not that deep, right? That's a setup that can actually tip an educator over the edge. They're fighting against so much. Administrators might be on their back. The state might be on their back. The children giving trouble in the class, all of these factors. And then the person that gave birth to the child don't even want to answer the phone. Come on. That can send an educator way over the edge. It's like, okay, if the person that carried them for 9 months don't care, why do I care? And then you get mad when the educators pull back and don't do certain things. Like, oh, you're not doing anything for my child. You're not doing anything for your child. That's when they get snappy. You are not doing it. So if you're not doing it, why am I doing it? Because technically speaking, right, the parents want to say, well, you're being paid to do this. No, I'm not. See, we need to make that clear. I feel like every educator needs to mail their contract to parents because parents will be very surprised. The things you think we're supposed to do, no, we're not. We're just doing it out of the kindness of our heart because we treat our students like our own. I don't have to make sure your child has breakfast. I don't. That's not my contract. I do that because I'm a human being and I don't want a child sitting in my class starved. You should have gotten them breakfast. And if you can't afford breakfast, you bring them to school on time so they can get free breakfast from the school. You're not even bringing the child to school on time so they can have breakfast. They're coming into class mad. It's really not. If the cafeteria is closed, I don't have to spend my own money and have, which a lot of educators, this is what we do. We have little snacks and stuff in the room and we'll say, okay, have a granola bar or something. That's the ones that care. I don't have to do that. The state say I'm supposed to have the child master certain standards and be proficient at the end of the school year, not to feed them. So sometimes we get mad at the teacher for certain things that they're not even contracted to do. They're just doing that because it's a human value. It's a human morale. But you don't do it. You don't even want to get them up early to go get the free breakfast. And then you're mad at me because I don't have any snacks in my room. You don't teach your child to be responsible for their equipment when they go to recess and stuff like that. They lose their lunchbox is my fault. I'm not contracted to watch lunchboxes. Your child is old enough to make sure they get the lunchbox back home. I'm contracted to teach them certain things and make sure they're safe according to code reds and different codes and things of that sort. Lunchbox and backpacks are not my responsibility. It's certain things that you expect the teacher to do, and the teacher is okay with doing it. It's okay. But when you are not involved at all, it makes them want to say to themselves, what am I doing? The person that carried them and gave birth to them don't even want to deal with them. Why do I have to deal with them? Outside of my contract. Okay? Listen, let me give you a personal experience. I have been at schools where the parents were too involved. Do you know there's certain things called too involved? That can also be stressful. So I just set up the situation where they're not involved at all. I just want to say it's also stressful when they're too involved. Okay. I don't need you at every little class party I have because I don't want to do a party all the time. I don't need you like that. Okay. Get out my face. Leave me alone. Okay. As long as I told you about your child and we had the conferences and what I need to do for your child, you don't need to then. This is what we call the nosy parents. They always showing up. It's like, why are you here again? I want to know what their grade is. I told you that yesterday. I told you at 7 a.m. and I told you again at 9. Why am I telling you again after school? So those parents, tone down a little bit. You don't have to be so involved. For you, go find a hobby. Find something to do while your child is at school. Okay? It's a little bit too much. It's okay to be involved. But you got to find that balance because then nobody don't want you around. And trust me, you're the topic of the staff lounge every time you leave. So too much, everything in life is a balance. Too much of something, even too much of oranges. Oranges are good for you, but too much vitamin C is not good. You know what I'm saying? Tone that down. Okay, because now you become a stalker. It's like, why is this helicopter? We call you guys helicopter parents. You're not allowed to come on the field trip because other children are there and you're not legally, supposed to be around them. You show up because you're like, well, it's a public place. We call you helicopter parent. If you don't want your child to come on the field trip, take them to the field trip yourself. Okay. If you're not comfortable, let them stay at school. Don't be, now you're a helicopter parent peeping on other people's kids. You're not even supposed to be around. That could be stressful in itself. But educators, you let me know which one you prefer, the helicopter parents that's too involved or the ones that's not involved at all. I think it's kind of hard to decide, but I believe at least they're involved. That's much better. You understand what I'm saying? So I've worked for both sides of the fence. I know what it feels like. Personally, growing up, I don't understand why would you not be involved? I didn't grow up that way. When I wasn't doing well, if my mom didn't like a grade, she gave me her own homework. She checked my homework. It's simple stuff. She didn't necessarily sit with me and do the biology lab that I had to do at home. But after I finished the lab, I had to show it to her and she would tell me this handwriting is not neat. Erase it, fix it up, oh, you left off this question. So sometimes she didn't even check it fully. That's really the teacher's, the teacher needs to grade the homework. And sometimes the parent is not on that level academically, and it's fine. Right? But what I'm saying is due diligence. She knew the names of my teachers. You come to school in the office, you don't know the name of your child teacher. And it's not high school or middle school, it's elementary. One teacher you don't know. You don't even know the grade. What grade are they in? The parent just look at us. And we're talking about the parent they live with, not the parent that's not involved. It's unreal. Okay? It's just unreal. I don't understand. They said during the pandemic, that was the first time parents were realizing that their child was having certain issues. Red flag to me. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Why was the pandemic the first time you're knowing about your child? I'm pretty sure some parent forums and some conferences came home. Why is it the first time? It said that homeschooling increased from 5.4% in spring 2020 to 11.1% in fall 2021. That's the pandemic height, right? Number of Black families choosing to homeschool increased fivefold during that time, 3.3% to 16.1%. And the pandemic forced parents to look at what they really value and prioritize those values. Why did a national pandemic have to happen for you to know that your child can't read? I'm pretty sure a teacher tried to tell you. Why? Why? And for the parents that are too involved, why is it that you're now realizing that the teacher is not picking on your child? Every time we try to tell you about the behavior issues, oh, not my child. But at the pandemic, when they were driving you crazy because you had to have them sit on that computer, you realize they can't sit. And you're like, something's wrong. And we tried to tell you, your child is great. Your child is wonderful. We're not being negative. We know your child can be successful in life, but we have to have some interventions in place to work on these issues. Just like adults go to therapy, there's nothing wrong. And sometimes it's not anything serious that's wrong with the child. It's just something that we just need to have some type of small group intervention or maybe an extra pull-out reading group. It's not that deep. Sometimes parents run away from that. We're not trying to diagnose. Not everybody's trying to label your child. We're not. But early intervention works. If you put in what you need to put in the beginning, then the child will not struggle anymore. Everybody struggles in something. Your child might struggle in math. They might struggle in writing, whatever it is. Let the educator fix it or help you to fix it. Sometimes we're just in denial, but the pandemic, do you know a lot of parents actually started apologizing to educators? I mean, go back to some videos and memes out there. A lot of parents were finally realizing what it's like to be an educator and wow, they're not lying. They're not picking on my child. They're not trying to tell me my child is this and that and the other. In some cases, yes, the teacher is wrong. But a lot of cases, they're not. And they're trying to let you know, and you're not accepting it, or you're not around, or you're around, but you're in denial. It's supposed to be a partnership. If you hate your child's teachers, hate the school, and hate everything that education is about, how can you be a partner? And then some of you who advocate for your child, I agree with you. If that's your child and you want to advocate for them. Okay. And you want to make sure things are done. That's why you're so-called over involved, because you want to be an advocate for your child. I agree with you. Here's my problem with advocating. You're advocating to the wrong person. Okay. Because there's certain governmental policies and procedures that are in place that a teacher cannot change. So you're getting mad at the teacher because this, that, and the third, and whatever the case may be. Guess what? I can't control that. So I need to see when they have those rallies out there for higher teacher pay and stuff like that. Parents are there, but I need to see more. Right? Because we're going to the school and being all nasty to the people when the people can't even change the laws they're governed by. We can't change the discipline matrix. We can't change. You're advocating to the wrong people. I'm not saying don't go ahead and talk to the teacher and talk to the principal and stuff like that. Of course, you have to start there. But I'm talking about the ones that just take it to a whole nother level. We can't control what the state say we have to do. If you're not in agreement with standardized testing, you need to be going to the governor. As a teacher, I can't change standardized tests. I just have to give it. You understand? So it's time for the parents and the educators to unite. Parents of all people should not be a stress factor in educators' life, because that's your child. You can't be the stress factor. Okay? Because then nobody's going to want to deal with your child and treat them the way they should be treated, just because of the parent. All right. So let me leave you with some stress-free tips. This is all I have for you today. I'm telling you, parents versus educators. This is the first topic. We're going to keep bringing this back, right? But let me leave you with a stress-free tip. For parents, if you're finding it overwhelming to be involved in your child's education because you have all these things that you have to worry about in life, teachable moments while you're multitasking. My mother taught me how to read before I went to school, not because she had all of the time in the world to sit with me like a perfect parent. While she was cooking in the kitchen, I had to read the stuff on the box to her. And so she would tell me, go get this box. I had to know how to read to figure out which box it was. And that's how me and my brother learned how to read before we went to school at the age of 3. You understand? Simple stuff like that. You're driving in the car, read me this sign. You're cooking in the kitchen, give me how many cups do I need? All these different things, just regular conversations. Go back to the dinner table. Start having dinner at the dinner table again, and those conversations can happen. And the kids can open up to you and ask certain questions. It's not that you have to teach them calculus, but just basic things in life, those teachable moments. You'll be surprised at how that helps an educator. Be a partner with your child's teacher. Know their name, know who they are, show up to the conferences, read the report cards. We're really not asking for much because we know you're overwhelmed too as a parent. And we can't tell you how to parent because there's no such thing as perfect parenting. But there's just certain things. There's just no way 5, 6 interims are going home to you and you're not signing them. I'm not talking about the child that hide them from you and stuff like that. We know some kids try to do stuff, but I'm talking about you have them, you don't. I mean, even if you don't understand them, give the teacher a call. Show up to the conference, do something. That was a tip for the parent. Tip for the educators. I got something for you. Do what you can do and release it. You're not the child parent. They didn't come out of you. You didn't carry them for 9 months. You didn't sow the seed. It's a student. Love on them the best way that you can. Treat them within the scope of how you can treat them and move on and let it go. You're not the parent. And that's where you mess up, because you start to become the parent. And now you're a teacher and the parent and the nurse and the principal and the this. Role overload. Do what you can do for the child, make the child feel good and safe in your class, and keep it moving. You're not the parent. Okay, take that responsibility off your shoulders. Listen, that's all I have for you today, guys. Please follow us on all social media platforms at LFK. Subscribe to the channel, Stress Free Educators. Write to us and tell us what is the next hot topic you would like us to talk about. And, let us know, what would you like us to say next time, or what would you like us to bring up? That is all for today. Enjoy your week. And remember, you can restructure to be stress-free.